Hello and welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. Today's video going to be a wee quick review of yesterday's 1-1 draw with Club Brugge in Game 5 of the current Champions League. We're going to have a wee look at where that leaves Celtic in the table, where it leaves Celtic in terms of qualifying for the playoffs for the last 16. We look at the stats, we look at the goals and incidents, and also my own personal ratings of the players. Before we do crack on with the video, just the usual request, encouragement. If you're new to the channel, not yet subscribed, please do click that subscriber button. Just one or two every day does make me so happy. If you do like the video, please do click that like button, and do feel free to pop your comments in the comment section, keeping them pleasant and polite if possible. Regard the result, the selection, the tactics, and how you see Celtic's chances are of reaching the playoff stage. In the end, I think a 1-1 score and a draw was a fair result. I think a lot of us underestimated just how good Club Brugge are. They've got an excellent defensive record. We have to remember that just 2 Champions Leagues ago, they got to the last 16. They managed to knock out Bayer Leverkusen and Atletico Madrid from the group stage. In that campaign, they proved difficult to beat, difficult to score against, difficult to break down, and won games on the counter-attack. And those were all very much the tactics they showed yesterday. I do think probably Brendan Rodgers didn't quite have Celtic set up well enough. I think the introduction of Alex Varley was a very important change. Arnie Engels in midfield again looked a bit lost. And it was quite clear that for much of the game, Club Brugge's ability to frustrate and shut things down in defence and midfield, and then very quickly hit on the break, along with the fact that they were incredibly good at pressurising Celtic. The pressurising of Celtic's defenders led to the goal, and Kuhn for much of the game wasn't really a factor, and it wasn't really until late in the game that McGregor and Hatate started to get involved. Having said all that, the goal for Club Brugge was rather freakish. Celtic got, as I said, pressurised, trying to get the ball out of defence. Sometimes I just wonder whether it's better just to get Kasper Schmeichel to clear the ball up the other end, get the ball into the Club Brugge half, into their defensive third, and then get players like Kuhn, Maeda, Kyogo, etc. to start pressurising their back four, because when we did do that, that often did work and did create a couple of chances for Celtic. However, we chose to do what we usually do, which is to try and pass our way out of defence. The ball came to Kuhn, who, rather than taking the ball and trying to spin in behind or take the foul, decided instead to come back to his own defence. Kasper Schmeichel perfectly reasonably came to try and give Kuhn an option and an angle. Instead, Kuhn passed to Carter Vickers, who, rather than looking to see where Schmeichel was, just simply turned the ball back straight towards the far left post, and the ball crept in at the far end to put us down after 26 minutes with a disappointing old goal. However, Carter Vickers made an honest mistake, and I think otherwise he actually had a good game. And to be fair, he didn't let that get him down, and it certainly did get Celtic redoubling their efforts and getting them back into the game, as they did seem a wee bit off colour and off the pace, and also it felt at times the crowd went rather quiet as well, which is kind of in contrast to how things were for the Red Bull Leipzig game. I think part of that may have been that we as Celtic fans had underestimated just how good Club Brugge are doing at what they're best at. Um, Although in the end, whether it's a point gained or 2 points lost, I would be in the camp of saying it's 1 point gained. It puts us closer to the magical level to qualify for the playoff stage. That's thought to be between 10, 11, and 12 points. We're now on 8 points. Goal difference is 0. Looking at the teams we've still got to play, our next game is against Dinamo Zagreb away on the 10th of December. They're currently lying 23rd. They just lost at home 3-0 to Borussia Dortmund, so that does give us a wee bit of a yardstick to compare ourselves with. Then, what could be the game that confirms our qualification against the team dead last in the league on the 22nd of January. That's Young Boys Burn. That's going to be at Celtic Park. And our last game is against the team currently lying ninth, which is Aston Villa, and that's on the 29th of January. I think, given what all the experts are saying, that point against Dinamo Zagreb and 3 points against Young Boys Burn would guarantee Celtic that top 24 place. Looking at the teams below Celtic, there are certainly some very powerful, strong sides. We actually do have a 4 point gap over the team lying currently in 25th, which is Paris Saint-Germain, but they actually have a couple of very difficult games in their last 3, as do other teams below us, such as Real Madrid, Stuttgart, and others. Getting back to the game, Celtic did get themselves back into the game with a good second half performance, a lot more passion, a lot more pace and aggression. It looked like Rodgers actually got his tactics better in the second half. As I said, Celtic did look quite a lot better once we brought on Alex Valley and Paolo Bernardo for the rather ineffective Taylor and Arnie Engels. And it was, in fact, Alex Valley's brilliant ball in behind the defence to Dyson Maida. Dyson Maida very cleverly spun, turned the defender, and a brilliant curling shot clipping the far post and into the net. After 60 minutes, we were back on level terms. There was then the dramatic disallowed offside goal for Bruges, which I'd had the same confidence that Joe Hart did on commentary, as pretty much immediately he was calling it offside, and indeed the attacker for Bruges was a few inches offside, so happily the goal was disallowed. Celtic did have probably a couple more chances to actually get the win, but some very good defending from Bruges kept the score to 1-1, and I think, as I said, I think 1-1, a draw, was a fair result between the two sides. I think in the long run it's a point gained rather than 2 points lost, and I think there are a lot of positives to draw from the game. Looking at the stats, Celtic had the advantage in possession 60-40. However, Bruges had 9 shots to 7, which does suggest that they used the ball more effectively. Shots on target were 3 for Celtic and 3 for Bruges. Off targets, 5 by Bruges, 4 by Celtic, with 1 Bruges shot being blocked. Kasper Schmeichel made 3 saves. Simon Mignolet in the Bruges goal made a couple of saves. Touches in the box were 19-18 and corners 4-5. And I think, again, the touches in the box does show that both sides defended very well. That they kept the opposition out of the box and meant that a lot of the play was out wide and in the middle third. And actually getting into the box, getting into a real danger zone, chances were few and far between. And that, again, I think shows that Bruges had their tactics better sorted out and better organised, and that Brendan Rodgers maybe was slightly caught off guard, and his analysis and the backroom staff's analysis maybe wasn't spot on. And I do think, as I said, the introduction of Bernardo and Valley very much worked. Don't think the later changes of Forrest, Ida, or Yang particularly worked. can't really see the sense of bringing on Yang with a couple of minutes to go unless Kuhn was injured, as it's far too little time for a player really to get himself involved in the game. Although I do wonder whether introducing Yang's extra pace might have been an idea rather than bringing on James Forrest, who really didn't have the pace to beat the right fullback of Bruges. Also, do wonder, although he's not as popular with many of you as he is with me, I do wonder about bringing on Luis Palma, as his ability to deliver a good ball, good pass, good cross into the box may have been useful both at set pieces and also trying to feed um, Kuhn, Maeda, and particularly Ida in the box. However, Rodgers went with Forrest, who did look like he wasn't quite up to the pace of the Champions League, didn't have the trickery to beat the fullback, um, and on the one occasion where he did get past the fullback, he was caught up by the other defenders. So, moving on to the ratings that I gave the players, I went for an 8 for Kasper Schmeichel and man of the match. I think he did a tremendous job organising the defence at set pieces, as after the first set piece, Bruges were far less um, threatening at set pieces. I think he did a great job in getting Celtic back on the pace and back concentrating after the goal. I think it was very relevant that he was the player that called everybody together, and then he and Callum McGregor read everybody the riot act. He also made that absolutely stupendous save, touching the ball past the post, and he made a couple of other nice saves, and really had no chance with Carter Vickers' own goal. Going with 7 for Alza Johnson, wasn't quite the same threat in the first half getting forward, but in the second half he did get himself forward much, much more. And for the great part of the game, he controlled Bruges' star player Zolis, um, and Zolis wasn't as much of a factor in this game as he has been in most games up until recently. Gone with 8 for Austin Trusty. I think he was Celtic's best defender on the night. I think he copes very well in the air. He's got lots of pace. He's nice and strong on the ball. Lots of lovely left-footed tackles as well. Um, and several times he was covering in behind uh, Carter Vickers to give him extra support, and he was also covering in behind Greg Taylor, who again I think had a rather poor match. Gone with 7 for Carter Vickers. Apart from the own goal, I think he actually had a good performance. He and Trusty, I think, are a very good partnership who are going to get better and better the more they play together. I think they dovetail very well in terms of their ability to read the game, their interaction, and also I think Trusty seems to have a very good tactical brain for reading the game. I've given 5.5 for Greg Taylor. I think he was, along with Arnie Engels, Celtic's poorest player. Again, got beaten rather a lot by Skov Olsen. It was a regular weakness for Celtic throughout the whole match. His lack of height in the box is always a major factor. Moving on to the midfield, I gave 5.5 to Arnie Engels. Again, much like many games recently, first 10-15 minutes, he did show some nice touches. He did have a good break into the box for the Dies and Midas cross, which unfortunately Engels ballooned over the bar. Thereafter, he seemed to kind of disappear out of the game. And not surprisingly, he was substituted for Paolo Bernardo, given 7 to Cal McGregor and 7 to Rio Hatate. First half, it didn't really look like Cal McGregor or Rio Hatate were getting control of the midfield. Both a couple of times lost control of the ball in the middle third, which then allowed Bruges to counter-attack very swiftly. However, as the game wore on, they got more and more into the game. Callum McGregor took more control, kept the team pushing further and further forward, particularly in the last half hour, and similarly, Rio Tati got more and more into the game, better passes, better linking, and had a shot that just grazed the post. So 7s for them. Given 6.5 for Kyogo and 6.5 for Nicholas Kuhn. Nicholas Kuhn seemed to be marked out the game. He really didn't seem to be able to get the ball and then get past the fullback. Did look like Bruges were doubling up and trebling up on him, which cut down the service Celtic got to him. And when he did have a chance to take on the defender, there was always someone coming across from midfield or defence to double team any move he tried to make on that side. Did have a couple of nice breaks into the boxes, a couple of nice crosses into the box. That was the lovely ball that nearly allowed Rio Tati to head a goal in the first half. And in the first half, also, Nicholas Kuhn did very cleverly break into the box, but never really seemed to be willing to take that shot on goal that worked so well against Red Bull Leipzig. However, 6.5 for Nicholas Kuhn, 6.5 for Kyogo. Kyogo tried very hard up front, couple of nice runs, couple of nice passes. Didn't really have too much of a chance to score. Did have one breakthrough on goal in the second half, but was given offside. Possibly, had that gone to VAR, he might just have been onside, but hard to know, as they've never really concentrated on it on television. And I've given 7 for Dyson Maida. Tried again very, very hard, covered back into midfield, cutting down Bruges' attacking options. Disappointing a few times. When he did get past the fullback, his delivery into the box was rather poor. But having said all that, he did. When the chips were down, he stood up and scored that very good goal that got us back in to the game level at 1-1. And so for 7 for Dyson Maida. Given 7.5 for Alex Valley. I think he, of all the subs, was the biggest difference maker. I think he looks so much more assured in defence. His extra height cut down a lot of Bruges' attacking options. He's a lot stronger. He's more pace than Greg Taylor. And he showed also that he was able to break into the midfield and into the final third. And it was his pass that set up Dyson Maida's goal. So 7.5 for him. 7 for Paulo Bernardo. I think he, again, lots of nice passes. Had a shot that's grazed the post on the right hand side of Mignolet. And I think he also looked a lot more threatening, a lot more creative than Arne Engels had done. And so I really am looking forward at the weekend for Alex Valley and Paulo Bernardo to get starts, and then get Arne Engels coming off the bench. And it may be that a game or two with Engels coming off the bench to be an impact player might get his confidence back. And I've given 6 for James Forrest and 6 for Adam Ida. Neither did particularly much when they did get on. Adam Ida did hold the ball up quite nicely, did come back and win the ball and hold things up, but not really much of a threat in the attacking third. And similarly, James Forrest did make a couple of runs, but really seemed to lack the pace and trickery to get past the young fullback on the right. And Forrest, as he often does, tried to come inside, but again, he never really was able to open up any passing or crossing opportunities or chances to score. And given the fact that Yang only had 2 or 3 minutes to play at the end, I don't think it was particularly fair to give him an actual mark, as it wasn't really enough time to make an assessment. And so I've left him as unassessed. You may well have your own thoughts regarding what your actual match ratings were, who your man of the match was, etc. So do pop those in the comment section. Just a wee suggestion, reminder, encouragement at the end. If you are new to the channel, not yet subscribed, please do click that subscribe button, and do feel free to use the comment section. Pop your pleasant, polite thoughts, opinions, debating points into it, and do click that like button as well. So that finishes things for today. There will be further videos over the next few days and a preview video on Friday for Saturday's game against Ross County. And so until the next video, goodbye and hail, hail.